By day, the early protests were huge, but mostly peaceful. At night, protesters grew more aggressive. A few looted and vandalized Country Club Plaza businesses that first weekend. Crowds rained plastic water bottles and rocks down on police. Officers, in turn, shot rubber bullets and tear gas into the crowds. Hundreds of protesters scattered through Mill Creek Park, trying to escape the drifting tear gas, only to regroup and challenge police lines again. It was back and forth like that for hours, 3 nights running, and Alexa Ward was in the thick of it.
Yeah, they definitely came at us hardcore with the tear gas.
Man, that was a lot of gas.
Yeah, that was a lot of gas. They just went nuts with it. Well, I guess it's better than, I would say it's better than rubber bullets, but they're using those too, so.
One protester hit by a rubber bullet lost his eye. Many others were injured, and the KCPD says a couple hundred police officers were hurt, including one who suffered a lacerated liver. Police made more than 200 arrests, but they weren't the only ones keeping order. Protesters aggressively self-policed their ranks, excoriating some hurling bottles at cops.
Stop it! I wouldn't accept it either. I really don't. But this is how it's going. Right?
And almost every rock thrown through a window on Main Street was met with fury from other demonstrators.
My name is Kiesha Gabrielle Brooks. I'm from Atchison, Kansas. My mother's name is Keita Jones. I'm out here and I'm a witness. It is not people of color vandalizing. It is not us rioting. It is not us throwing rocks at people. It is non-white. It is white people doing this shit. They are trying to mess it. I watched them do it. I literally watched them do it.
There were also black people breaking windows and spraying graffiti. But in one of the most serious offenses, torching a police car, detectives are still looking for a group of clean-cut young white men. One apparently wearing a shirt from a community college in El Dorado, Kansas, 2.5 hours south of here. But after that riotous first weekend, the tone shifted.
If we go with the power of love tonight,
Amen.
people expect you to act the fool, but what about the power of love?
Amen.
Pastor Brandon Mims was among more than a dozen black ministers out on the streets that first Tuesday night of the protests in Kansas City, encouraging order. The demonstrations were still huge and vigorous, but less combative. The police were acting differently too, says KCPD spokesman David Jackson.
One of the things that seemed to us at the time is that we were kind of the objects of the protesters, and that maybe by lowering our presence would lower the temperature.
It worked. By day 5, Mayor Quinton Lucas and Police Chief Rick Smith were marching with protesters.
Thank you so much. No justice. No peace.
Demands for Smith's resignation had not materialized. But other protest objectives, like taking steps to outfit police with body cameras, were starting to be met. And demonstrators like Johanse Hubbard were hopeful that Kansas City had avoided more serious violence.
You see in other cities how things have just kind of gotten out of control. I think here the mayors are still a lot of trust in us to be peaceful, and so I respect that, and I hope we honor that and stay peaceful.
By week 2, protests had started to diverge along ideological lines.
This is what we want. This is what we need.
For instance, One Struggle KC held a demonstration at City Hall calling for abolishing the police department. Organizer CJ Pullian says the whole power structure needs to go.
We're standing here today in our unapologetic blackness. Not blackness that kneels with men who have ordered us tear gas. Not blackness that gives agency to oppressors.
At another rally this week, week 3, different black activists took a nearly opposite tack. Instead of going head-to-head against the police, organizer Pat Clark said black citizens need to cooperate with murder investigations to help disrupt a cycle of violence taking black lives.
I know Black Lives Matter because I'm a black man living a black life every day. But when we start talking about other people taking our lives, then what's the conversation? Ain't nobody talking about us killing us. Because if you can kill me, and I know you, then my life never mattered to you in the first place.
And the protests spread to small towns and suburbs.
We are here to add our voices to the chorus that is ringing across this land. Black Lives Matter.
In Prairie Village, more than 1,000 people turned out as Marshall Davis sat quietly looking on.
Something like this should have happened years ago, but people turned a deaf ear as if they didn't know that it existed. Now, the world have seen by virtue of what happened to George Floyd. Now it's coming to light. For so many, like my nephew, it's too late.
Davis's nephew, Ryan Stokes, was unarmed when a Kansas City police officer killed him 7 years ago. Davis turns 78 Sunday. He was born in Alabama when blacks had to step off the sidewalk for whites. In Kansas City, as a teenager, police hit him and threatened to shoot him. Years later, he was pulled over and questioned in Johnson County wearing his Postal Service uniform because he was black in a white part of town. Still, surveying the mostly white Johnson County crowd, Davis allowed a glimmer of hope.
This is an indication that the possibilities are there now, but this is today. Today, everybody's out here because it's fresh on their mind.
What about a month from now, Davis wonders? How durable is this movement in Kansas City? How does it change from here? And is it up to the enormous task at hand? For KCUR 89.3, I'm Frank Morris.